Hi everybody, welcome into Talking Town, your final Talking Town before the season kicks off at St Andrews against Birmingham City under the lights on Sky Sports. If you go in, enjoy it. Joining me, because the Gov is still holidaying in sunny Spain, it's Lee Anderson off the subs bench again. Lee, how are you doing? Long time no speak.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Wish I was on holiday with, well, not with the Gov, but wish I was on holiday like the Gov. But doing okay. It's going really quick this summer, isn't it? All of a sudden,
it really has.
The football season is upon us.
It is upon us. It doesn't seem that long. Well, it wasn't that long ago, actually. Was it May the 25th, May 26th? We played West Ham, relegated, and here we are, first week in August, and starting up the season. Have you been away yourself this summer?
No, either side of the summer. So yeah, I had a little go away in March, April, but I've got holiday planned in September. Fortunately, but unfortunately, I'm going to miss a couple of games, 20th September. So when I book the holiday, that's normally around the time we play Norwich. So I'm thinking, that sort of, but it's a week or so later, so that's okay. Yeah. But
do you miss the football season? Are you one of these people that has got other interests?
I think it's good to have the break. Yeah. But I mean, I don't think we miss the season anymore, because if we think back to the days before the takeover, it was a proper closed season because everything was closed. There was no transfers, there was no rumours, and now when you look at it, it's a different ball game. We're in for this player, there's players, people in for our players. So you have the downtime from the games, but there's still the interest there. So I think that's good, rather than scrolling through trying to wait for three sort of free signings that's going to define our season.
I do know that you've been out in the Bury St Edmunds with Colin, having curries and all sorts. Was that a lively evening?
Yeah, it was okay. That was okay. That was a nice evening, as it always is. But I'm still recovering from Sunday night at Oasis.
Oh, Wembley Stadium. You enjoyed that?
Yeah, it was like 2 hours of celebrating Sarmiento's goal. It was that mad, you're just bouncing around for 2 hours. It's great,
brilliant,
really good. But
great stuff. Absolutely, and we've had a really good pre-season, haven't we? As well. I mean, I think back to before we kicked off the Premier League season, and me and Martin sort of sat on here, kind of lamenting that we didn't look like we had many goals in the side. So it proved really, where would we have been without Delap? But that hasn't been the case in this pre-season, this summer, Lee. We beat Blau-Weiß Linz in Austria 4-1. We beat Aberdeen 3-1, which I thought was a really good display against the side that had already started their domestic campaign. We beat Charlton at Colchester 2-1. And then last weekend, we obviously won 3-0 at Auxerre. And I think George Hurst, do you feel like he's going to fill the shoes of Delap? We've had 4 games, he's got 4 goals.
Yeah, he's done really well, hasn't he? He's done really well. I mean, the only, before focusing on all the positives, it's just, can he stay injury free? And we're a bit threadbare on strikers, but I guess we'll come on to that in a little while. But he's, and listening to McKenna's pre-match today, he's a player that he's always believed in, a late developer in terms of his physique and that, but he's looking more the real deal. And I think if he stays injury free with the 3-4 players that are going to play behind him, he's in for a really good season. But not only has he took his goals well, he's linked up play pretty well as well. So long may it continue.
Josh has put in here a fit Hurst gets 20 plus goals this season. Colin said this to me last night on the phone as well. Do you think if we can keep him fit, and that's quite a big if, isn't it? It does feel like he could get 20 goals, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. His all-round game has really developed. I think we're now starting to see what McKenna has seen in him previously. And I just feel that this has got to be his time. It's a big season for him. He did make a good impact in the Premier League towards the second half of the season.
Yeah.
But again, it's like anything. It's just, can he stay fit, and have we got the, hopefully we'll have the strikers to support him, because it's going to be a striking unit. He's not going to play. He's going to, if he's first choice at the time, he's going to play 70 minutes, isn't he? Then they're going to rotate him, bring someone on. There'll be a couple of games. I mean, it's 46 games. There'll be games where another striker's going to start and he'll come on for the last sort of 15, 20 minutes. But I think it was telling at the end of last season, when obviously the Delap move was probably on the cards from about March time, sort of towards the end of the season. Delap was on the bench and Hurst was getting his run. So already, even then, you could see that that we were planning for this season, and I think that's going to help him for sure.
Absolutely. Also sitting in the sidelines, of course, is Ali Al Hamidi. Let's not sleep on him, Lee. He's actually got 3 goals in this pre-season as well. Looked pretty sharp in the box and had a nice little finish against Auxerre on, I think it was Saturday evening, wasn't it? I mean, would he be part of your plans? And tell us in the comments. Or because he moved from League Two, didn't he, into the Championship and had some good cameos and actually scored 4 or 5 goals, didn't he? And he went on loan to Stoke last season. So he can prove he can do it at this level, but is it good enough to be part of a promotion push for us? A title winning push, maybe?
Yeah, well, so I think we all had high hopes for him, and he's a proper character, and he's got something about him. And when we had him in the Championship before, he was carrying an injury, wasn't he? He came in mid-season.
Abdominal injury, wasn't it? Yeah.
And he had a bit of a groin. Was it groin or something? He had a bit of a problem. So I think there's something about him. Would you want him as second fiddle to Hurst? Probably not. I think if you're looking for promotion and with the money that we have available, you would have him as third string. Now, I think it comes down to, do we have 3 strikers, 5 midfielders, and all those around him, or are we going to settle for 2 strikers with someone like Smodics that can play that role? So I think it depends on how McKenna wants to make this, how he looks at the squad. So I think as a third string, absolutely, but I think as second string, probably not.
Not sure. Yeah, the jury's out there a little bit. I mean, he's kind of what we wanted from Ghassan Hadmi in League One. Do you remember?
Absolutely. Yeah,
that was a punt as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that didn't play. I mean, that didn't pay. There was injuries and things, but yeah, I think Ali's got a little bit more about him, but did he really set the world alight on loan? I'm not sure he did. I think he did okay. He had
injuries again. He was struggling with injuries at Stoke in and out of the side. I think he scored one or 2 goals. I guess. Well, we've been linked to Chuba Akpom, who's playing for Ajax at the moment, and it looked like it was a irony of ironies. It looked like it was going Birmingham, and then it sounds like we hijacked it ahead of the big game on Friday, and it looking likely that he might move to us, Lee. I mean, if you go back, let's roll it back to the 22-23 season when he was playing for Borough. I think he actually played under like 3 managers there. I think Warnock, Chris Wilder, and Carrick. And in 42 games, he got 29 goals there. But crucially, if you actually look at the stats, he played in the far deeper role, in the number 10 role, not in the 9. So I mean, that's where the majority of his goals were scored there. Then he gets a big money move to go over to Ajax in 23-24. Gets 15 goals there, good return in the Dutch top flight off 36 games. Again, you can't really tell where he was kind of playing. He was either centre forward in the 3 or either side of the centre forward. So he's kind of rotated out of that. And then last season, 24-25, 8 goals. And some of that was spread over a loan period with Lille in France. And it seems to me that if you do a bit of a deep dive on that, he was playing in a 2 up top with Jonathan David. So he gives you some flexibility, but I'm now unclear as to what McKenna would see his role as, because it seems that under Carrick, of course, McKenna and Carrick seem to come as a pair in terms of their style of play a little bit, don't they? And the United background, he was scoring lots of goals in that number 10, but I would say the majority of Town fans are thinking this is the Delap replacement.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't studied it enough, to see the comments that you've just made there, but I said first and foremost, the players that we seem to be bringing in have a little bit more pace power, perhaps.
Physicality, yeah, he's got that. Absolutely.
So I think there's a lesson from the Premier League in terms of what we lacked a little bit last season. Of course, the Championship's slightly different, but he, does he become that utility player? Is that, it's really hard to tell on who the club are trying to move out. So it seems like he can play anywhere across the front three. So if that's the case, if he's more of that utility player, is there another striker to come in? Who knows? Which means, I think in that case, then Ali will be loaned out or sold as such. So it's really hard to tell. But it feels like he can play that lone striker role. It feels like he's got those attributes to be able to hold up and run in behind with some pace and power, which I think is another dimension that maybe we didn't always have. But that then replaces the lap, doesn't it? You add that running behind and that pace and power.
Indeed. Big shout out. Big shout out to David Bergin over in Dublin. A €10 super sticker, David. Your generosity is always most welcome. Thank you so much. Yeah, look, Delap used to come quite deep, didn't he? Obviously he was playing in that kind of 9 role, but you often saw him sort of coming back into that kind of 10, the deeper role to connect with the midfield in order to bring the ball forward. And I think Akpom will do that and will give maybe not quite the same physicality that Delap had. It always was like Popeye power, wasn't it? People just bouncing up him like a cartoon. Sometimes right from the kickoff as well, wasn't it? But maybe Akpom would maybe fill that gap, Lee, in terms of, like, you're quite right in saying that physicality. And of course, you need this window really to kind of, if you are to be promoted, and hopefully we go up as champions, that's what we all want. Was my prediction on Sunday. Well, you want that momentum going into the Premier League again, don't you? Because then you're not thinking, there's no question marks around physicality. You've already seen it across 46 games across the side in the Championship.
Yeah, I don't think we're in the market this season for players for the Championship. Again, I think we're going back to how it was almost in League One, that we're buying Championship players that can play in the Championship for League One, and I feel that because we're now having that second season in the Championship, it almost feels like we're recruiting players that can take that next step as well, which I think is important. And that's where the market becomes really difficult, and trying to get the players in as soon as possible. And, the to and from that we've had with transfers so far, it goes to show that it's difficult. It's difficult, but you've got to think about the club. There's no point putting someone on a 4-year contract if your ambition, and you've got real ambitions to be in the Premier League next season. That's a real difficult ask, I think, which I think sets us above other clubs, say, in terms of Birmingham. I think they're in a market where they're still thinking about winning the Championship rather than what they might do in the Premier League next season. So I think there's a bit of difference, a bit of difference there. But again, going back where he can play, it's interesting really, because if he can drop deep, I think it's how the number 10s are gonna complement. So, Hurst is a real good runner in behind, but when you're playing Smodics there, if Akpom is coming deeper, a little bit deeper to play that 10, you've got Smodics running in behind. But I think if you're playing Chaplin there, Chaplin's not that willing runner in behind. He's more that drop to the side, drop deep. So I think there's some balance to be had there, and so I think it's good to have the other strikers that can do something slightly different to Hurst, because that gives you different dynamics for the 10s that are playing in behind.
Indeed. If you did have a side with Akpom and Smodics in it, that's nearly 60 goals in their standout seasons in the Championship. There's a lot of sleep on that, right? One player that might not be with us for the foreseeable, Lee, can't get it out, foreseeable future is Amari Hutchinson. According to The Athletic, David Ilston in The Athletic, it said Ipswich have rejected a bid from Nottingham Forest of 35 million, presumably to be the Elanga replacement. And Ornstein also says Brentford's still interested. What's your thoughts on that? He would be a cheat code, wouldn't he, really, in the Championship, I think. But as obviously Trev Rabos put in the comments here, imagine Marcus Evans turning down 35 million.
He'd be gone, wouldn't he? Marcus Evans would have already driven him up the road to the stadium. Well, it just shows who the club is, and it's a different scenario now to what we had with Delap, with the with the contracts and that, and triggering the contracts. So the club has a lot more power here. So the club can hold out for more money.
Absolutely.
I mean, looking at the two reported clubs in for him, I mean, Forest would be a no-brainer in terms of stature, I think,
football.
Because
European football.
I might be proved wrong. I mean, Forest might struggle, then they've got to play in Europe, so they've got that. So they've got their extra games to play. But I think Brentford are one of those now. You look at the gentlemen's club of the Premier League. They are probably this season's Wolves from last season, perhaps. So
some question marks around them, certainly, isn't it?
Yeah, they've got a new manager. They've lost. They're losing forwards. They've lost their captain. They're losing a little bit of the spine of their team, and of course you've got to replace that. But given how Amari played for us last year, would he be that? Is he Premier League ready to really drag a team up the table? I think he still needs the good players around him and more stability. So if I was
Forest is the better option.
Yeah, I would think Forest would be a better option for him personally. I mean, for us, it's whoever's going to pay us the most money, and really the money up front. It's really interesting because as the transfers develop now, it's more about what you can offer up front as much as what you can pay over 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Holland the other night, and I was talking about it, saying, look, clubs are mortgaged to the hilt now, aren't they? It's like everything's mortgaged, and we'll buy your player for 35 million, but we're going to buy him on finance. We're not giving you the money up front, and when it comes to fair play, whatever it's called now, that really makes a difference, I think. And but I think if he goes for 40 million, I think Ipswich will probably push for a few more, but
40, I think.
I think he's going to go, isn't he? There's obviously a possibility that everything can fall through and he can stay, but I think he's going to go, and we have to accept that. And I'm guessing we're building transfers around him going, which would be a real shame. He had a great Euros, but the Euros under 21 compared to playing in the Premier League, that's on a different scale. And Mario was in so much space, wasn't he? He had a great tournament. As soon as he got the ball in the Premier League, they were on him instantly. So it shows his talent. If he goes, he goes. I don't think we should get too attached to it.
No, and Tommy Kay, who's our resident Forest fan in the chat there, saying that Ndoye is actually the Alanga replacement, and Amari would probably be the backup to him. So, I mean, he's probably going to trade game time in the Championship of Ipswich for probably being on the bench and being a squad player, really, for Forest. But as we saw with Delap, never got a sniff for England, did he, under Tuchel? As soon as he goes to Chelsea, they're probably going to start talking about him potentially going to the World Cup. And maybe Atchison has got ambitions for that as well. Like you rightly say, he wins Euro 21s. And then, you're in a World Cup year. Who knows? Injuries, he might get catapulted in. So you just never know, do you? But I can't see Ipswich turning down much more than 35. I mean, 40 seems to be the green light. But I mean, look, you can see, look, we get emotionally invested into players, don't we? And they've been part of our success and all that kind of thing. But I just think back to when we lost Kieran Dyer to Newcastle. What was it? A paltry 6 million back in the late 90s. And we were like, yeah, it was back then, wasn't it? That was our record, wasn't it? And we was like, how can we ever recover from this? And of course, Burley spends the money wisely. Some of that money was used to bring Marcus Stewart in. We get promoted, and we had the season in the Premier League where we finished 5th. So I mean, sometimes that's the starting.
Yeah, I guess that's the point. It feels like we're in a financial position where we're able to reinvest that money. I think the problem comes, and where fans get a little bit more disgruntled, is you get 40 million for a player, but because of the fair play, you've only got the scope to spend 15, 20 of it. But I don't. It doesn't feel like we're in that position. It feels like we can invest everything that back in the squad. It feels like that anyway.
Yeah, it does. If we're to lose Amari, then we're going to be another body light, and you've got to think about replacements coming in. And McKenna obviously done his press conference today ahead of the game Friday, and he was kind of alluded to the transfer window and said work was to be done in some areas. I mean, he said we'd lost 2 players that he wasn't expecting. I can only presume that was Burgess and Morsey. I mean, what are you thinking, Lee? I mean, how would you see the window at the moment? I mean, would you say it's been disappointing? It's certainly been quiet, hasn't it? And when you come down with the abundance of riches we've had from the Premier League, I suppose we've been kind of like, I don't know, seems like we've been more cautious compared to last summer where we was spending left, right and centre with all the new Premier League money, weren't we?
Yeah, well, I think we got the deals. I think we got the deals done quickly, but I guess that's the point. If you're trying to buy players for the Premier League and you're not in the Premier League, that makes it difficult. It just makes it that just makes it difficult. And I think first and foremost, I trust Ashton not to put the club in any sort of debt. I mean, he said that before. So we have to be realistic. I believe there's a plan in place. Some, you can see some of the socials where people are saying that, there's no plan, but you can't plan to hijack a player and then the club that you're trying to hijack from comes back and tries to hijack you again. I mean, that's part of it. It feels like with social media, the transfers are played out more in the public. Public's mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And given that it's only been the last 3 years that we've been in a real transfer market, because before the takeover, nobody wanted our players, and we only took players that nobody else wanted. So it's I think we're all still getting used to this
the Paul Lambert era.
This to and fro. And I think on Morsey, my view on Morsey is it's clear that McKenna wanted to keep him for another season.
Yeah,
but he was never gonna play for us in the Premier League again because of the age. He had a 1-year deal or whatever it was. He wanted more. The club weren't prepared to give him it. So that tells the story to me.
Yes,
that beyond next season, beyond this coming season, we were probably going to offload Morsey if we were in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But again, go back to what I said earlier. That's our ambition. So I think the club have been fair to him to allow him to go. He goes with everybody's blessing. He's going to have security for him. He's going to have a great deal. I don't know what the fee, what the money is, but I guess he's going to have 2 years and he's going to have security for his family. And only a club like Ipswich would probably allow that to happen. And I would respect. I would respect that. So I think, but that has left us really light in midfield. You can see that in pre-season. All of a sudden, you've lost 4 of your 5 players that played in the Premier League last season. And that's really, I think that's one of the areas where what McKenna was referring to in terms there's work to be done, even more so now.
One coming back in Cahuste, maybe? One coming back in Cahuste. Would you be a fan of that?
Well, he was our best player last year, wasn't he? Come on, he was the most comfortable player in the Premier League for us, in my opinion. He's got that. Yeah, he just oozes class, and he was playing with injury a lot of times. So
he did
that deal, if it goes through, is nobody would have thought that at the end of last season. We thought he would, never fall in love with a lone player. The deal was there. Obviously, McKenna rates him because we had him on loan with an option to buy if he stayed in the Premier League, or not. Well, not an option. It was a compulsory buy, I think.
That's right.
Reported. So, I mean, he's going to be absolutely fantastic for us in the Championship. And then because we've got Matasiwa, who's replaced Morsey. There'll be another one to come in.
The CDM. Started.
He's an upgrade. He's an upgrade on Morsey, I think, on the pitch.
Agreed.
He's got a much higher ceiling. Him and Cajuste, who have played together before, by the way.
At Reims,
Yeah.
That might be the thinking. Yeah.
I wonder if that midfield is, with another classy addition, and then supported with what we've got in the building already, I think that's probably going to be as strong as what we had in the Premier League, if not stronger.
Okay,
I think we really struggled. I think we really struggled a little bit to retain the ball a bit in the Premier League, and I really have high hopes for our midfield. I think that's going to be an area that we've really strengthened. So going back to the original question, I think the market's been a little bit slow compared to what we had when we first got the takeover in League One, but we're fishing in different ponds, and it's going to take a little bit more time. But we've got to the end of September for the transfer window, so I can see some more movement, obviously in and out. But I think we're methodical with the type of player that we're after, and we have to just give that a bit of time. But of course, the season starts in 48 hours
48
time.
hours. Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
that's the same for every club. That's the same
It
for
is.
every club. You just get on with it. You get on with it.
As Ashton, when he came on the show, Mark Ashton come on the show, and he said, once the season starts, you've never really got the squad you want. You're still looking to do business right up until the deadline at the end of August. And you're quite right about Matasiwa and Kuste playing together at Reims. Off the top of my head, I think Southampton's manager Will Steele was the boss at that point.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm not 100% certain, but I think so. I do think Kuste would be very good in the Championship, and I do like Kuste. And we've debated this before. I didn't think his Premier League stats was all that particularly, but I did like how he would break up play. He was very good on interceptions, and I liked how he turned with the ball and brought that forward. And I think in a level below in the Championship, I think that will be, again, I think he'll be really good if he can stay fit. It's the George Hurst argument again, if we can keep him fit. My only concern was if he comes in on a permanent and then he gets another bite of the apple in the Premier League, whether or not his stats for me certainly might still be disappointing. But I mean, look, more experience. He's played there once before. He gets another opportunity, hopefully, if we get promoted. But I do think Matasiwa and Kuste, I think, will be a good starting combination.
That's a solid, more than
Feels
solid
good.
Championship. Yeah. I think just on a Cajuste again, I think the stats say one thing, but stats in a struggling side.
Everyone struggled. I mean, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. But if you just going back to the old-fashioned way of sort of not looking at stats-based stuff, but turning up maybe as a scout on a foggy Tuesday night to see somebody play. Sometimes you can just tell that they're a good player, and I think I just think he is, and he could turn out of tight situations a lot in the Premier League, and he got us going forward. He could break the line, so that's going to help us even more in the Championship for sure.
At this level, I'd like to see, if he does sign, I'd like to see more goals from him, because he scored that really good goal against Forest. Didn't really see him shoot that often, did we? And I'd like to see some more assists from him as well. I think we will see that. I'd like to think we will see that at this level. And would Taylor be your third choice then, if those two are your starters? Have you got Taylor just behind them, or are you thinking that person's not in the building yet?
I think there's another one to come in. Well, I mean, possibly another two, isn't there? I mean,
potentially.
If you're looking at Humphreys as the backup, I mean, perhaps we'll come on to him in a moment. But I think Taylor's here to stay. I don't think we'll move Taylor on. I think we chased him for a reason. Has he had enough opportunity over the last 18 months or two? Probably hasn't, has he? But there's such he's that sort of player that seems to have come on when we're sort of chasing, when we're a goal behind. He's the sort of player that if he picks up the ball with enough time in midfield, he's going to smack you one in from 25 yards.
He's got a great goal threat from distance. We don't see that enough.
Yeah, he's got that about him. So I think again, I would think he would be the backup rotation. And I don't think McKenna would be concerned about sticking him in from the start if needed. I mean, he's probably going to start Friday night. I would think.
I think so.
But I think, I just. But then again, with Humphreys, we're going to need somebody else, aren't we? I think the club is still moving quicker than Humphreys can keep up.
I feel sorry for him, because he's obviously had a very standout season at Wycombe Wanderers, albeit in League One. They just missed out on getting promoted, didn't they? But he was their player of the year. He was their young player of the year. And of course, someone else who was also a standout option at Wycombe last season was that Richard Kone, who's been linked to lots of clubs. And everyone's sort of, well, we'll give him an opportunity in the Championship because he scored lots of goals. And Humphreys, under the radar, maybe. I mean, they called him the Suffolk Messi there, didn't they? Comes back to Ipswich and everyone's going, I'm not sure if he's good enough for us. But I guess time will tell.
You can't just judge it on goals, can you? And
no.
I've seen debates about he's some of the hard games in Wycombe. He's gone missing and that sort of thing. I think that's a little bit harsh. I just think as the backup, he's got a chance, but he's not. I don't think he's ready for a start because again we have good money to spend, and we can buy, which unfortunately for him, we can buy people in that are already better than him. And I think that sort of that links into what I was thinking about earlier on about, we've now got Cat A status for our academy. Where are the academy players? You would hope
few and far between.
In a few years' time, there'll be the odd one that will come through. That means you haven't got to go chase 15 million on a player. You've got somebody that can come in and do that role, but you're going to need more of them. So yeah, I would say one more midfielder, depending on the amount of strikers who they bring in. But Taylor's going to be about, I'm sure.
It's funny that Luongo should go to Millwall, isn't it? Sort of not seen part of our plans, yet everyone's talking about Millwall potentially being a top 6 club, and Luongo could, I mean, maybe be a bit part player there. We'll have to see how that works out. Obviously, like you rightly say, like Humphreys has come through the academy, a young player. Did you ever think, Lee, you'd ever see a 40-year-old in an Ipswich Town shirt? Are you happy with Ashley Young? I mean, he looked very good in that Auxerre game. He plays in that. It was a great, and Gov was celebrating the free kick, a set piece goal, the Greaves header. It was a great delivery. It was a great, as I said to Colin last night, it was a really good header as well. But I think Ashley Young's a great signing for one season. Absolutely, I think he is.
Yeah.
Brings you the experience you're going to miss with Morsey, plus fit as a fiddle. And if he keeps doing that set piece delivery, everyone's going to be happy, isn't they?
Yeah, I mean, just on the set piece delivery, there shouldn't be a professional footballer that can't whip a ball into that area. He sent the ball about 20 yards, isn't he? It's a great free kick. I mean, normally people will put them in the stanchions, they'll put them wherever.
Yeah,
but really, that's bread and butter for me. But not knocking it. And it's a good header and such. Like, it was played into the right area, but you would like to think that people could do that more often than not. But on him, I agree with you. He's with Morsey moving on. We've replaced Morsey, the footballer, but we haven't really replaced Morsey, the leader.
100%.
And McKenna has always been big on that, hasn't he? I mean, Aluko has come in, at the back of the League One season. He was that sort of bit part player. He was seen as somebody that could, with that experience. And I think that's a shrewd move. And he's obviously going to start at left back on Friday night.
Looks that way, doesn't it? Yeah.
It's a free transfer. It's a positive. McKenna wouldn't take him if he didn't think he could perform on the pitch. But he's going to
about his mindset, doesn't it? That he's a 40-year-old who's still competing with Everton in the Premier League last season and dropping down again a level below. Feels like he can be a standout player. But he was set, like you said, rightly say, Morsey's no longer there. Who's going to set those standards of experience? And Ashley Young's played at World Cups, Euros, Manchester United, Inter Milan. He sets those standards. And of course, we have a new captain as well in Dara O'Shea. Lee, I mean, when he signed for us, I remember Chris Hall saying he could well be your next captain when you finally lose Morsey. And so it's proved he's a very good character behind the scenes, always sort of talking with the non-playing staff, the canteen staff, the office staff. So again, I think you've got that kind of combination of O'Shea and Young together behind the scenes, dovetailing into McKenna. I think that's really good. And what did you think of O'Shea very quickly last season? Were you happy when he came in from Burnley? He certainly looked a standout performer in kind of a shoddy defence, really, wasn't it?
Yeah. Again, I mean, it's hard to judge in the season that he had, but he was a fighter. He was okay on the ball. He wasn't Cedric seems to be really good on the ball. So I think he may be a little bit better footballer-wise, but leadership, can you say players have had a good season? I mean, he did a lot. He looks like he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's got that natural leader. I mean, again, when the rumours about Morsey, going to the Far East, I heard rumours going back in March time that might be on the cards.
Yeah.
It was quite clear O'Shea was next in line. I mean, it wasn't a secret, and it was clear as night following day for me. And that's that natural progression. But I think going back to leadership, I think if you look at the team, there are young players in there, and I would say Jack Clark is just one example. But you've got some really a lot of experience in that team now that has seen promotion, that has played in the Premier League. You've got Connor Chaplin, for example. I mean, Smodix seems a bit of a. I don't think Jack the lad's quite the way, but he's been around a long time now, and he's done well in the Championship. He's now played in the Premier League. So there's a lot of players now that have got to step up, naturally step up, and you've only got to have one or two real leaders, and I think we've got that now. I think we've got O'Shea in there, and I just feel like, when you think back to younger teams of the past that have done well, they only need one or two. They only need one or two guiding lights, and let the youngsters just go off and run around with their fresh legs and do that. So I think we're pretty set in that. That doesn't worry me. For sure.
Yeah, hopefully at a level below as well, we can see some of the stuff that Chris told me about in the fact that O'Shea's dangerous from set pieces, corners, free kicks, scores goals, headers, gets assists in the box as well.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can add that to his game as well.
Yeah.
What about
it's always every corner free kick last season? My lad says the same thing. My lad Tom, O'Shea. O'Shea's coming up. O'Shea. We say it every time. We just cursed it for the whole season. Type thing. Yeah, but he did come with a reputation, that's for sure.
Yeah,
so
let's see how that.
Yeah, let's see how that goes.
I used to like that era under, I think it was McCarthy, when you had like Christoph Bearer, Tommy Smith, Luke Chambers. We always looked like we were threats from corners. Obviously at championship level, I hope we can bring that back again this season.
Yeah,
fingers crossed. I think who's actually stood out for me, but obviously went off injured against Auxerre, was Philogene. I've been very critical of Philogene when he joined in January, because I feel like he didn't want to be here. He didn't have the body language of someone who looked very happy to be in an Ipswich Town shirt. But I've been really impressed with him. And in that Aberdeen game, he played fantastically well in that, I thought, on the left-hand side, which meant Clark played over on the right-hand side. And obviously he goes off injured in the Auxerre game. But I was impressed with Philogene. Like I say, he scores 2 really good goals against Aberdeen. Doesn't sound like the injury that he sustained in France at the weekend is going to be too serious. It might be that he doesn't play on Friday, but if we do lose Amari Hutchinson, Lee, it feels like Philogene could maybe fill those boots.
I think that's what he's been brought in for. And again, he's coming to the Premier League. We tried to get him at the start of the season. He's gone back. Another transfer saga. It's all great, really. When you look at it in terms of it's interesting to keep things going. But again, he came in January into the Premier League. He's obviously got some ability about him. But, he scored against Coventry in the Cup. So, again, with all due respect, it's not Premier League opposition. So there's clearly a player. There's clearly a player.
Candidates, though. In Coventry.
Yeah, there's clearly there's clearly players that are really high caliber Championship, and it's making that step into the Premier League. I don't think this season we should judge them by what they did in the Premier League, because we're not in the Premier League. We're in the Championship. And I think there's more expectation. I think there's more to come from him. But I agree. He's looked really good. He got the penalty last weekend, didn't he? Yeah. He's looked cutting in. It's interesting that he's got the right footer on the left and the left footer on the right. So they're cutting in. So you can, so they cut inside. That's quite interesting to see on that.
Do you like Clark on the right hand side? I mean, because we've already seen him on the left, and he had that standout season with Sunderland where he scores 15 goals, and also the same with the assists, but from the left. And now McKenna does this, doesn't he? He brought Philogene in with us thinking he would go on the left, started him on the right, and now he's put Clark on the right. But you've got to try and get these players into their key positions, I guess. And I think interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah, I think when he scored, I might be wrong, but Coventry and a couple
he's on the left, I think.
He's cut in, isn't he? He's got that natural cut in. And I think in the Premier League, he never got that real, he got a few opportunities, didn't he, where he's skied a couple and he's had to snatch at them because the Premier League players are Premier League players and they're closer to him and they're harder to beat. But as the level has dropped, he's getting that space to cut in and he's getting that half second more on the ball.
It was like Messi against Coventry.
He's looking more dangerous. So I think in terms of a goal threat, he's probably better cutting in because that's his natural game. He can go down the outside, but every time he cuts in on his right foot, you're thinking goal, shoot, top corner. That's what I think. You're not going to get that with him on the right. No. You're not going to get him on the right hand side, but you'll get that with Philogene, and you got that a little bit with Omari in the Championship. I'm thinking about the 2 goals he scored against Hull as an example, where he's cut in. Brilliant. So I think I think you want to keep defenders honest. You want to know that they're a danger on the outside and they're a danger on the inside. So I think switching sides means that when they're cutting on their strong foot, they're a real goal threat, but they can still go down the outside and cross a ball in. So a big season for him. and I'm glad he's not. I'm glad the injury's not long term.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that was
he's going to be a real player. I mean,
yeah,
he's going to be a
really
real
good
player.
Trevor says, awful miss from Philogene against Auxerre. But I bet it was. It ended up in the stand anyway. We're going to concentrate on the positives there. Very quickly, Leon Muric looks like he might be going out on loan to Turkey. Are you happy with that move? Do you think that's going to benefit him? It feels like Palmer's going to be number one, doesn't it? But you know, look, unfortunately, Muric has been the victim of first impressions, and the first impressions against Man City was those mistakes. He's never really recovered from it, has he?
I think Palmer's made more glaring errors. If I'm being honest, one under the foot. I mean, do they always concede goals?
That's true. The Wolves game,
yeah. You know, the game where he lets one under his foot. He had one at the other end. I can't remember what game it was from me. On the Sir Alf Ramsey stand where he nearly let one through and it went off. And you got the same again when Walton's played. I just feel with Muric that I think he's just not fitted into the club.
It's got that vibe, hasn't it? Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's got that sort of vibe.
Right, is it?
It's got that sort of vibe that he's not really one of the lads. You don't have to be one of the lads.
No.
You just have to be a really good goalkeeper. But I think I've heard rumours that he's getting booed in the friendly. There's no need for that. We bought another goalkeeper in mid-season. It's on the cards. I can't see anyone buying him. At best, we can hope for is to go out on loan and get him off the books.
Loan and see what happens.
You don't bring somebody in January and then keep him. Walton signs a new deal. There's no.
We talk about Muric. We talk about Muric not having those first impressions. Of course, but Palmer against Aston Villa saved us those. He got us a point, didn't he? He was outstanding against Villa. Villa Park when we were down to 10 men. So that's probably the difference, really. But yeah, I probably agree with that. All right, let's move on to Friday then. So I've got a little team here. So are we going to agree Palmer in goal? Seems nailed on, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
At right back, I'm probably going to play Johnson. Feels like he's going to be. Twanzabe's obviously going to be a big miss for us as well. Lee, were you disappointed to see him go, Twanzabe?
Yeah, I was. But again, you can understand why somebody moves on. I just think what we lacked in that position in the Premier League was a little bit more of a footballer, if I'm being honest.
It's a centre-half playing right back, basically.
Yeah. So that's not discrediting what he did defensively, but one of the errors that we struggled in the Premier League was that transition around the back, playing the ball around the back quick enough. Yeah. And I just think we didn't have enough ball speed for that. So he will be sorely missed, but I agree. Johnson is that. If it's sort of like a traditional, more of a back four where you've got those two sort of pushing on fullbacks, if that's the way we're going to go, then absolutely Johnson's going to be first on the list.
Yeah, it does feel like that, doesn't it? With Harry Clark also being out injured, I think probably Ben Godfrey was the thinking around that as well, but that just didn't pan out for us, did it? But
no, it didn't.
No, O'Shea captain obviously on the right hand side of the four, Greaves on the left side. Kipre looks decent, doesn't he? Absolute unit coming in to replace Burgess. So I think he's going to be a good option from the bench. Is
he not? Yeah, is he not right-footed? But he can play on the.
He is right-footed, but again, we had Chris on from West Brom, and he said he seamlessly seems to be able to play left centre back as a right footer. So
yeah, I guess I think McKenna likes the balance, though. It's interesting. I wonder if there'll be another left foot coming.
Yeah, maybe. We'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see.
I just wonder, but yeah, I think they picked themselves there, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we've got some trouble at left back, obviously, because Auxerre game, Davis missed out with a hip injury. We don't know if he's going to be fit for Friday. And tragically, Connor Townsend has done his ACL, so we wish him all the best because he's been a fantastic backup, I think, a really good footballer. He's going to miss the majority of the season, if not all of it, potentially.
Yeah. I watched the game. I was watching the game, and
out of nowhere, wasn't it?
All of a sudden, this player just sort of came crippled across sideways and fell on the floor. And then the camera panned away. I said, "My lad, someone's gone down there. Someone's gone down." And I said, I thought at first it was Hurst. And the way he moved, we've all been around long enough to know that was a real serious injury because it was at a nothing, and he collapsed on his knee. And I've had the same happen to me, and I'm not surprised that he's done his cruciate. I'm not surprised at all, and it's really sad. So I guess we're in the market for another left back.
Yeah. Because that Boniface, of course, is out injured himself as well. The kid we bought in from Chelsea, the under-21. Yeah. So it feels like Ashley Young's going to play there, and I've got no qualms about that. I think he'll do a really good job for us there. It's a midfield then. We spoke about it. The two looks like it's going to be Matasiwa and Taylor. If no one comes in overnight, or is going to be registered in time. And I think that's a good combination to start the season. I've got no particular issues with that in this game, albeit it's a huge game. I mean, I've got Ipswich as champions and Birmingham finishing second, so I've got 1 versus 2 on Friday. So we'll see how they go, and hopefully Taylor can have a really good. Hopefully Matasiwa has a really good competitive debut, and Taylor is comfortable playing with him as the more box to box, and maybe Matasiwa can bring out more of the impact that we know Taylor can bring, and maybe some of those shots outside the box as well. So that's the two. Then we've got the 3 behind. Obviously, he's going to be Hurst. And you can only think that we've seen it through pre-season. So Clark's going to be on the right-hand side. Seems a no-brainer to me that Smodix, having scored 27 goals the season before last in the Championship, will be in the middle at the 10. And then, obviously, with maybe the question mark around Philogene, opens the door for Broadhead. We thought he was going to Wrexham for about 8 million quid, Lee. Yeah. So he's got a reprieve here, maybe staying in Town Blue.
Well, yeah. I mean, Broadhead's been professional, hasn't he? There's been interest in him, or there appears to be interest, but he's travelled, he's done his bit, he stayed a professional. I'm guessing, perhaps he might not be, he's happy to move, but maybe it's not the end of the world if he stayed. So he's happy to commit himself if he got injured. Sometimes about injury, isn't it? With players that have got interest, is I don't want to get injured because it might stop the move. So I think you've got Broadhead there, but if Chaplin's fit, can he start in the 10? Can Smodix play on the left?
So he does go over the left.
He's done that in the Premier League, hasn't he? So I just think I mean, it depends how McKenna sets up going forward. That Smodix can run in behind. I said this before about Chaplin or whatever. That depends what your game plan is. If you want to dominate the ball, I think Chaplin is probably better because he drifts over and he links the play up a little bit more, allow others to maybe run on. So I guess it's on the game plan. But it's funny, really. We talk about this squad and the team almost picks itself. I can't argue with anything that you've said. We're a striker short, or we've got another striker, but we've got that golf. I just think that the players that we're bringing in are going to add that strength to the squad, but not as squad players, but as starting players. What you really need is whoever you take off, you want someone with the same ability to come on. And I think
exactly at this level we do.
And that's the work that McKenna's saying that we've still got to be done with the squad. I think there's still those areas. I
do think Ipswich want Broadhead to go because he's in the last year of his contract, and Wrexham are offering 7.58 million. They're probably, as much as we like Broadhead, and as Martin said when he first joined, the Gov said this is the needle mover, and of course he gets the freak against Sheffield Wednesday again. First impressions count, and he's looked fantastic for us. And I think he's got a lot of supporters within the club. But I think last year the contract and you're offering 7.5, 8
he's
million.
He's a proper footballer, isn't he? And it's you hear the rumours about the club trying to sell him last season, that sort of thing.
There were lots of rumours, wasn't there?
I just think he's a brilliant footballer. I love him to bits. I love watching him at our club. But when when you're looking towards, again, what we said earlier about next season in the Premier League, you're buying players for the Premier League. Everton sold him to us on the cheap for a reason.
Was it?
Because Everton have spent many years in the Premier League, and I just think the physicality around Broadhead, that's where Everton would say, we'll
now we know why, don't we? Now we've been in there.
But Broadhead had some brilliant moments for us in the Premier League last season. When he was, especially second half, I thought he was coming off the bench, scored a really good goal in one game, didn't he? And he looked one of our best players. But I think to sustain that in the Premier League for 7 million, it's the right thing for the club.
Probably is. Feels about right, doesn't it? What is your prediction for Friday night then, Lee? What are you thinking? Can we go to St Andrews, get a win? Would you be happy with a draw? Do you think they might beat us? They've got all the momentum coming out of League One.
Well, there's 3 results, isn't there? There's a home win, away win, or a draw. I don't buy in. Well, it's a real tough game. They're all
It's a
tough
really
games
tough
away
game.
from home. You know, they've got momentum. They've come up similar to us. But let's remember 2 years ago, we went to Sunderland on the opening day of the
Colin said this to me. He said exactly the same.
of the championship season, with is it fair to say a lesser team in terms of
it was
player for player that we've got now?
Agreed,
yes, we've come out of the Premier League with only 4 wins in the season, but I don't think if you've got better players, I don't think momentum is such a big issue. I think momentum when you come up and you're maybe punching above your weight, perhaps we did a little bit when we were in the Championship last time. That counts for a real lot. But if you've just got better players that are more professional, then I don't see a lot of these players have just played at Anfield, Old Trafford, Etihad, Highbury.
The experience,
the experience there, and we've gone. And a lot of these players have gone to Tottenham and won away. So I don't buy into that. They're going to be after us. Well, of course they are, but the crowd's not going to bother them. Ashley Young will be there to calm them all down. I'm talking up a result here, aren't I?
You are. You've got me.
I mean, it can go any way. I would, if we can come out with a draw, as Mick McCove used to say,
I'd agree with that.
I'd take a draw away from it. I think opening game of the season. I mean, I saw a stat the other day that said that we're the top goal scorers since 2005 or something on the opening day of the season.
Oh wow!
But I've always imagined us being absolutely garbage first game of the season, particularly at home.
You're thinking back to Morecambe.
Yeah, I think home first game. I can't remember the last time we won a home game, first game of the season. In the League One, it was always draws. I think Bolton.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Bolton was a draw. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was 1-1, wasn't it?
Or a defeat. Yeah.
The Evans goal
I
from the
can't
corner.
remember the last time we won an opening game at home. Someone in the chat will probably tell us, but I think it was a good few years ago. So I don't think we start that well, but given where we did it against Sunderland.
Yeah.
So I would think a draw, but if we can control the game, we control the midfield and build on our weaknesses from last year, where we could retain the ball more comfortably for longer periods, then we could do a Liverpool of the 70s, where you used to ball the shit out of the home side and dampen the crowd and the spirit, and then take the game. So and we've shown that resilience in the Premier League now. So yeah, I think a draw would be a comfortable result. Maybe 1-2.
So I got 1-1. I would agree with that. I'd probably go with the 1. I'd probably take 1-1 now, to be honest with you. If we do lose the game, it's not the end of the world, is it? It's the opening day of the game of the season. Another 45 to go against a team that I think, there's getting mixed comments here, I think is going to be in the top 2, certainly in the top 3. I just recognise the momentum that we had out of League One into the Championship, and I feel like they've got it as well. But the proof will be in the pudding Friday, won't it? The proof will be in the
absolutely. But haven't they? They bought quite a few players in, haven't they?
They have. They've bought. Look, they've got a lot of money behind them, and obviously the goal probably with Tom Brady and his ownership model is to get them into the Premier League and into Europe as quickly as possible. So it's similar to our goal was, I guess, when we got promoted into the Premier League, and it hasn't worked out for us. But we will see. Do you think, very quickly, Lee? Do you think Ipswich can win the title this season? I think we can.
Absolutely, we can, but will we? And I'll always maintain that you've got to have an element of luck around injuries. You've got to be able to.
We're not seeing that now, are we? At the moment,
yeah. Well, we've got the scope for that. But can we win the league? Yes. Will we? Is a different story. Should we be? Are we going to be up there fighting for the top 2? Of course, it's going to be a bad season if we're not hanging around the top 2.
Exactly, I agree with you.
But so I think we're in for a roller coaster season. But it's going to be a different way of doing it this year, I think, because we're going to have that expectation and more on us. I know McKenna was asked in his press conference about the difference, and he said, "Well, I don't really see it." But he's playing it down. In League One, he referred to League One where we were the big boys, but we managed to cope. But the Championship is a different level. But I think we've got a different level of players. So the club knows how to cope with all that. So hopefully champions would be great.
Be great. There could be a lot of teams breathing down our neck, though. I think Birmingham will be one, Southampton, Leicester. Sheffield United. I mean, but this is why we play the games, right? You got to play the 46 games, and this is where you land.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a procession, where's the, it's all about the chase, isn't it? It's all about the journey, and it's going to be a tough. I think it's going to be a tough season, and the game on Friday night just doesn't define anything. It's one game out of 46.
It's a great start to the season, isn't it? It's exciting. It's got everyone's interest. It's sold out. You've got the narrative around Birmingham, 111 points. It's a really tough start for us, but we'll see what we're made of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's all good, isn't it? All good.
Exactly.
What a time to be a Town fan.
Indeed. All right, everyone, we're going to leave it there. And don't forget, don't live life in pain. Give Stone Market Osteopaths a call today. Freddie is the governor there. And of course, our very own Gov here at Talking Town says, make sure you tell Freddie that he has sent you. Osteopath and physiotherapy services. The Gov swears by it. Call 01449 613 633 today. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. Lee, thanks for the hour.
No worries,
it's been great chatting to you. Great chatting again. Fingers crossed for Friday, everybody. And we'll see you at the weekend at some point to review the game at St Andrews. All the best. Enjoy the rest of the evening. We'll see you soon.